My first frame is of an extreme close-up, which adds an effect to my film because the extreme close-up creates a sense of fear in the victim's eyes. Also, the way it attracts my audience is by showing that in horror movies, extreme close-ups are very common. This frame of an extreme close-up will be attracted to my audience because it shows an extreme close-up, which is very common in an horror movie. And if it was to be shown to someone only this frame, they would know that this is a typical horror film convention and would therefore be attracted to watch the movie because it's a horror film genre. Second frame is of my main character holding a phone, where it is a climaxing scene to my film opening, and in this scene the victim is holding her phone to her ear, which is a typical horror film such as Scream and other horror film movies, and it attracts my audience because if the audience likes films such as Scream, then the audience would be attracted to my film because it has those characteristics. My third frame is of a mobile phone, which is the victim's. This frame will attract my audience because it is a typical horror film convention which shows the mobile phone and the unknown number. It adds tension to the scene. And my fourth frame is of my main character dropping her phone, but this frame is done in slow motion as it needed to add a lot of tension to the frame. This frame will attract my audience because it is typical in a horror film that the most fearful moment is done in slow motion, and this will attract many horror film genre lovers because they like the fact that it sticks to the typical horror film conventions while thinking outside the box. And this next frame is of the main character realising that she's not alone in the house as she feels a presence behind her and swiftly turns around. Another way that this frame will attract my audience is that it doesn't show who the villain actually is, and that will appeal to many horror film goers because they like the fact that they don't know who the actual villain is. This last frame reveals my villain, and this frame will attract my audience because it shows the villain in the last scene, which is the climax of the whole opening. It also shows that my villain is not what everyone thought it would be, which means that many people will like this and it will attract my audience because it's different to other films and it won't be a typical one such as When a Stranger Calls, when it's all about the phone calls. It's more about what happens during the house, and it will attract my audience for that reason.